Hey folks, Jim Jacobus. Welcome to this week's Order Ticker to Gladiator webinar. Today our title is 5 Steps to Making 50% More Profit Selling in 2012 and Enjoy Doing It. And by the way, I put that enjoy doing it on there because if you don't enjoy what you're doing, for goodness sake, go do something else. Let me welcome you to the webinar, and again, kind of want to see everybody's coming from today and then make you aware of, or at least let you play around with some of the tools there on your dashboard. Down there where it says questions, if you've got a question anytime during our program today, go ahead and type it in there, and I'll try to get around to trying to answer all of those. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't, depending upon how much we have to cover. But just to make you familiar with that, do me a favor, type in there where you're coming from today. Where are you listening to the webinar from, so I can see where everybody is. So just type in there where you're from, where you're signing in from today, and you can play around with that little tool down there. So let's see here. Oh, there's some exotic Sugarland, Texas. Houston. Okay, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Awesome. There we go. Now we're moving around the planet a little bit. Australia. All right. Cool. What else we got there? Anybody else want to type in where you're coming from today? Where you're listening to us? Oh, well, thank you. By the way, somebody said, hope your knee is healing well, and I am doing great, guys. PT's a little tough today. I'm trying to learn how to live without the benefit of pain pills and sleeping aids, and so the body's kind of having a hard time with that, and made physical therapy a little tough today, but things are going great, and I'm getting around on the knee and doing well. Matter of fact, looking forward to traveling and speaking here in just about 10 days. So anyway, well, welcome to the webinar, and I want to go over just a couple of housekeeping things real quick. I want to try to do that every week just so that we tap into all this. Again, this is the Order Ticker webinar series. We'll be doing these twice a month all the way through the year. They are free. Somebody typed in the other day, are these really free? And I said, yeah. Are you going to try to sell us something? No. We're not going to do that. We always record them. We'll add the PowerPoint slides to the recording and send those out to you here sometime today or tomorrow so you can review it, share it with other people if you want to. We will be providing other resources through the year for you, things like articles and other programs that I found valuable and people that I like to follow that you might want to follow as well. We do a lot of blogging. We listen to a lot of podcasts. So we'll be sharing a lot of resources with you, and from time to time, we'll have some special guests and do some programs outside of the series to add value. There's several different ways you can keep track of what we're doing. The fact that you're registered means that you will be getting emails from us, the follow-up emails and things like that. So you will be getting those kinds of information. But you can follow us on Facebook. If you're a Facebooker, you can go to the search deal and just search from Order Taker to Gladiator. You can like our Facebook page, and we communicate through it. And then if you're a Twitterer, you can go to @JimJacobus and follow us there. And we tweet out all of our programs that we're doing, so you can keep track of that. And then we do have the blog up and running, http ottgwebinars.wordpress.com. We use WordPress as our platform for blogging. So just go to OTTG Webinars and you'll find us there. That stands from Order Taker to Gladiator, and you'll find that. And we would encourage you. We've got a lot of people on the list now. We've got about 160 people that are following these webinars. We don't have everyone on the webinar today, but we've got about 160 people following all together, so share it with other people. All right, let's jump into the topic today. I know some of you guys are a little skeptical about how you can make 50% more profit this year. We'll tell you that idea. I was doing a program for a client a couple of years ago. I was up in Springfield, Illinois, and we were doing an all-day sales training program. And I always start the program off by saying, what would you like to get out of our time together today? And this guy down front raised his hand. He goes, I'd like to make 60% more profit in my territory this year than last. And everybody kind of laughed. I mean, they were laughing at him, and quite frankly, inside I was laughing too. It seemed like a little bit of an uninformed idea of what a one-day program could do. But I knew we were going to cover this information. And so I said, well, if I could show you how to do that, would this day be valuable to you? And before he could speak, the sales manager in the back said, if you could do that, you'd be a miracle worker. Well, I asked them later on, did we do that for you today? And there were people shaking their heads. I get a lot of feedback on this particular program today, so I'll be anxious to see what your feedback is. If you think, if you see, or you believe that doing what we share with you today could literally help you make 50% more profit in your territory this year, or your sales business, or your small business, whatever it is that brings you to the webinar, no matter what kind of sales you're in. So we're going to start off with a poll. And I like to do those kinds of things. I want to get your feedback and kind of see where you're coming from. So I'm going to launch a poll here and give you about 60 seconds to answer it. And the question is, what is your biggest asset as a sales professional? And you'll see the potential answers there. I've launched that now. Is it your company and their reputation in the marketplace? Is it your product or service that you provide? Is it your knowledge and experience? Is it your time, or is it your people skills? So do me a favor, just go down there and pick one of those and let me know, what do you think is your most valuable asset as a sales professional? And we've got people chiming in here. Okay, get a few more of you. All right, we've got about 75% of the folks have voted so far. It's kind of like New Hampshire primary here. We're counting how many of the different precincts have voted so far. We've got 80% voted. Still looking for a couple more of you. And by the way, I don't know if I told you this, but whenever I am watching my dashboard here, for those of you who like to multitask, if you go from the screen that you're watching the webinar on to some other screen, I can actually see that. And I get a report that tells me how much you guys are paying attention. So humor me by making sure you stay with us here. Certainly I don't care. If you've got other stuff to do, feel free to do that. So I'm going to give you 10 more seconds to vote. That's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to close the poll. And here's the results, all right? Kind of find this interesting. And it looks like I'm going to be swimming against the grain a little bit today. 0% said the company and their reputation. All right, I kind of go along with that. 25% said your product or service. 50% of you said knowledge and experience. And 25% of you said your people skills. Awesome. Okay. And when you get the webinar, you'll see the copy of that. Will be part of that copy you get. So let's look forward here and talk a little bit about that. What really is, what does it take? What are those 5 steps? Step number 1 is I want to get all of us thinking about return on investment. It's all about return, but our success or failure as a sales professional is kind of have everything to do with our return on investment. What do we mean by that? What are we looking for there? Here are the steps to it. First thing is the best sales professionals I have ever met, I've had the privilege of working with, of training, of coaching and consulting with. They run their territory like it's a business. Now, if you're a small business owner today, obviously you run your small business like a business. But if you're a rep that works for a company and you've got a territory, you've got a set of customers and everything, a lot of people feel like they work for the company. And I kind of want to get us out of that thinking. I want us to realize that, yeah, we do work for a company. We do represent a company. But within that company, we are running a small business. That's what our territory is. And we need to make return on investment decisions about that territory that will give us a good return. What I think the best sales pros believe is they consider their time inventory. In other words, my time, the time that I have available to me, however many hours a day, times however many days of the week that I'm working, I consider that my inventory, and that is what I view as our most valuable asset. Now, obviously, we want to work for a great company. We want to have great products and services. We want to have great knowledge and skill sets, and we want to have great people skills. And during the year, we're going to talk about all of those and how important they are and how we can build those. But I believe to be successful, to do the kinds of things that we talk about in our webinars to get 50% more profit, we've got to look at our time as being inventory, and that becomes our most valuable asset. And then what we've got to do is we've got to demand a premium return on investment for that time, inventory, and that asset. Now, if you're a brand new sales rep and you've only been in the business for 6 months or less or whatever, you've only been doing it for a little while, your time's not as valuable as perhaps somebody else's time is. But if you're a seasoned veteran and you've been doing this for a while and you know the product and you know the services and you're good at what you do, then you need to demand a premium for your time. You need to get a return on investment for that asset that's over and above. So step number one is to consider and think about, in fact, we're running a small business and we need to get a return on investment for our biggest asset, which is our time. That's our inventory. Now, one of the things we've got to do is become intentional about who gets that time. And we're going to talk about some things today that may kind of shake you up a little bit. And if you agree or disagree, don't worry about it. Feel free to question what we're talking about. I have that all the time. I'm used to it, and quite frankly, it helps us grow our program. So if you've got a question about what I'm saying, type it in there, and don't hesitate to speak up. So we want to become intentional about who gets our time so we get that return on investment. So in order to do that, we want to categorize our customers as being in one of 5 different levels of relationship. Now, this is one of many tools you can use. It's obviously the one we're going to focus in on today. But we look at 5 different levels that a client could fall into. And the first level is they don't even know who we are. In other words, we've got a client or a prospect out there that doesn't even know that we're their sales rep. And I was doing this in a program one time. A guy said, he said, all my clients know who I am. I said, how many people do you have in your database? He goes, 250, 300, something like that. I said, I tell you what, I'll bet what I'm getting paid today that if I call all your clients, somebody in that database doesn't even know your name. And obviously he didn't take that bet, but bottom line is there are people out there that are part of our territory, part of our reach, part of our business that don't even know who we are yet. So that's level 1. Level 2 is they do know who we are. They know we're their sales rep. They know that we represent the company that we work for, and they do know our name, but that's about it. Level 3 is that they are open to doing business with us. In other words, they're friendly to us. They're they take our calls, most of the time. If we go by to see them, set an appointment, they'll see us. They're doing some business with us. So they're open to doing business with us, and they know who we are, all that good stuff. Now, here's the level where I think things really begin to change, and that's level 4. They value doing business with us. And gang, there is a huge gap between they are open to doing business with us versus they value doing business with us. In other words, we're an asset to them. The product or service that we bring to the table, our knowledge, our experience, our people skills, whatever it is, they value that. And they're glad to be doing business with us, and they'll answer the phone call most every time we call, and they really value what we do. Had a guy ask me in a training program we were doing a while back, said this. He said, I've got a customer, I call them all the time, and they don't ever return my calls. How do I get around that? And so I asked the question, I said, do you have customers that every time you call, they answer? And he said, sure. He said, I've got a lot of those customers. I said, why do they answer when you call? He said, well, because they know that I've got something of value for them. I said, exactly. So if when you call, they never answer, what does that tell you? He goes, all right, I got it. He said, that means that they don't perceive that I'm bringing any value. I go, absolutely. So our relationship with a customer, with a client, with somebody that we're doing business with really begins to get traction when they see us as somebody that they value doing business with. Now, there's one more level, obviously, level 5, and that level is when we are seen as a trusted advisor. In other words, they don't just come to us because they need us. They come to us before they need us. We're helping them write specs. We're helping them come up with solutions in their factory. We're helping them find a better way to manage employees. Whatever it is that we do, they come to us, and we are helping provide solutions before they even buy our product or service that causes us to be seen as a trusted advisor. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Anybody have any questions about that? Let me kind of check the dashboard here real quick and see if we've got any questions about that. Or just let me ask this, does that make sense to everybody? Okay, type in there, yeah, that makes sense. I got it. If you've got a question, type that in. Let me see what anybody has. Any questions here? All right. I guess we just did an awesome job of explaining that because I don't have anybody with any questions. Okay. All right. That said, then we are going to move on. Let's see here. Makes total sense. All right. Good. That's encouraging. By the way, I need encouragement. Doing webinars is something we love doing, but I got to tell you guys, this is tough. It's fun. I love being in front of audiences. I love being in front of salespeople and doing training. You get a lot of feedback, a lot of energy, facial expressions and all that good stuff. Webinars, I love doing them because it's a great medium for transferring knowledge and information. But it is a little tough on this end because I'm sitting here in an office. And now, there we go. You guys are giving me some good feedback. I appreciate that. Sounded kind of pathetic there, asking for some support, didn't I? All right. Go, go, go. All right. Okay, here we go. Now, so let me ask you a question. There's 5 levels there. They don't know our name. They do know our name. They're open to doing business with us. They value doing business with us, and we are a trusted advisor. Now, here's where I want you to get on the question deal, and I want you to answer these questions for me, okay? I want you guys to jump in here and answer these questions. Question number 1. Of those 5 levels, where do the order takers spend 80% of their time? What do you think? Out of levels 1, 2, 3, and 5, where do you think an order taker, all right, remember our title's order taker to gladiator, where do you think the order takers spend most of their time? Okay, all right, in the office, level 2, yeah, now we're talking. Yeah, here's where they spend most of their time. Levels 1 through 3. They spend all their time with people that don't know their name, do know their name. And by the way, they're putting customers' names on sales reports. And I know you guys never do this, but I have seen it. You guys are gladiators. That's why you're here. But the order takers put people's names on their sales reports that they haven't talked to in 6 months. I've done some follow-up on that. And that's what an order taker does. Well, they just put all kinds of stuff on there. They spend their time with levels 1 through 3 because that's where it's easy. There's not a lot of challenge there. People are nice enough to them. They buy a little bit here and there. But it takes a hard work to get somebody to value what we do. It takes even harder work to become a trusted advisor. So the order takers spend 80% of their times in those levels 1 through 3. Okay, fair enough? Now, where does 80% of the profitability come from? Okay, where do you think 80% of the profitability comes from? That's right. It comes from levels 4 and 5. Okay, so levels 4 and 5 is where the money is. And again, if we're going to make 50% more profit this year, then we've got to become very intentional about spending our time there. And that's what we're going to spend the rest of our time talking about today. So where do gladiators focus their efforts? You got it right. They focus their efforts on levels 4 and 5. That's the key here. We've got to really take a look at our business and see where we spending our time and where do we get a better return on investment. Return on investment's in levels 4 and 5. Okay, so we want to categorize, and that's step 3, all right? So step 2 is we want to know the different levels. Step 3 is we want to categorize our entire customer base by what level they're in. And again, it's just a simple process. It may take a little while to do it. Somebody the other day said, I've got 400 customers. I don't have time. It's okay. Take the top 100. Okay, begin there, and let's see what we learn about it all. Okay, so the first thing is categorize all of your customers, then categorize your prospects. Now, this sounds an awful lot like calling them A, B, and C prospects. I think that's a great methodology. I've just learned through the years that this is even better. And I think as we get through today, you'll see that this becomes a total system you can use, all right, on a regular basis. So you want to categorize all your customers, all your prospects, okay? Where are they today, right? What level are they in today? That's one column, and you can do this on a spreadsheet or a Word doc or something like that. And then what is their potential as a customer, okay? Where are they right now? Right now, they may only be a 2 or 3, but I believe they have the potential to be a 4 or 5. Okay, that's what I know about them. Or today they're 2, and they're never going to be more than a 2. I'm pretty comfortable with that. And I'm going to tell you, you've got to be brutally honest with yourself. Okay, it doesn't do any good to do this exercise and not be honest. Okay, we want to be brutally honest with ourselves, and that's what's really going to help us as we go through. So step number 3, we categorize our entire customer base by level. Where are they now? What's their potential in the future? And we want to be honest with ourselves about what level their potential is. That's really going to be the key category here. Okay? All right. Now, next step is it's time to clean house. All right, and I was looking for I was looking for some images I could use on this slide, and I thought this is really appropriate because a lot of this sometimes, if we haven't done a good job through the years of building a lot of, you guys love the photo. I tried to find a guy doing it, by the way, just to be uh, gender neutral, but I couldn't find one, so I used this one. My apologies, ladies. It certainly could be a guy doing it. But anyway, it's kind of like cleaning the toilet. If we haven't done a good job, that's a nasty thing to go through. All right, it may take you a while to do it. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this one first of the year, so we could start the year off right doing this. All right, so here's how we clean house. First thing is, and I'm going to get in trouble. That's fine. I don't care. I've been in trouble before. Get rid of any client that you know, all right, you know will never be a level 4 or 5. And I'm going to talk more about that. I'm going to clarify that a little bit. And I have sales managers get mad at me. I have VPs of sales get mad at me. They've got a territory. I want them talking to everybody. And then we'll start talking about, do you really? I mean, do you really want them talking to everybody? And my answer is no. And by the way, remember, we're running a business here. So there's some things we've got to do, all right? We've got to make some value judgments in some cases. You might look at a client and go, you know, I put them on my hit list. I want to try to get that customer. So I go, okay, all right, but I want you thinking about it. I want us thinking about, is this client ever going to be a level 4 or 5? Because my point is, my position is that if they can't be a level 4 or 5, they don't deserve your time, all right? It's about your inventory. It's about your expertise. It's about your hard work. It's about your blood, sweat, and tears. They don't deserve that if they don't have the kind of system that would value what you bring to the table. If they bid this thing out to 20 people every time, and you've got to spend 4 hours to do the bid because it's a big, huge RFQ or RFP, all right? And you know, you're trying to, they're just going to take the lowest price no matter what. I'm telling you, if you're a pro, if you're a gladiator, they don't deserve you. They don't deserve your time because they're not willing to pay for it. All right. Now, if they've got an RFQ and it's worth $1 million and there's, you know, $75,000 worth of profit in there, and you've only got to spend an hour answering, or you got somebody back at the office that'll do it for you, that's fine. All right. That's a value judgment. You're not investing a lot of time in order to get it done. So, you know, bottom line is you've got to make some value judgments about that. Somebody says here, can you have a level 4 or 5 client but still lower than acceptable return on investment? Absolutely. I will tell you though, Larry, that's rare. Most of the clients that are level 4 and 5 recognize that the sales rep needs to make a good return on investment. They need to make profitability. But at the same time, that it does happen when they don't. That's like I said, that's a little bit rare. Good question though. By the way, keep coming with questions like that. I like that stuff. So a couple of things that I'd tell you. Sometimes you have to satisfy your manager. All right. Your manager says, I want you calling on these people and I want to know how often you talk to them and all that kind of stuff. All right. Then do it. Okay. Do what they ask you to do. But here's what I tell you. Don't do it in your peak time. Don't do it on your best days. All right. If you know that Tuesday through Thursday, the best day to call on your level 4 and 5 clients, then don't call on levels 1 and 2 on Tuesday through Thursday. Use Monday to do it. Use Friday to do it. Use late in the afternoon when you're tired to call on those people and check off the box to make your manager happy. Here's something too. What if your manager, I love this question, what if your manager insists that you've got to get business from that customer? And I hear this all the time in our workshops. Well, my manager said, I've got to call on ABC Paint Company and that there's $1 million worth of business out there, and by golly, I'm going to go get that business. That's what he's telling me. I've got to go get that business. You know what I tell that manager? If you were to come to me and say, hey, Jim, ABC Paint Company's out there. They've got $1 million worth of profitability in them, and you need to go get that account. I go, well, all right, J.O., jump in the car with me, take me out there and show me how to do it. All right, let's go. You tell me when you want to go. I'll set the appointment. You take me out there and you show me what I've got to do. Help me see what I'm not doing to get that business. And I'll tell you what, most of those managers get real quiet at that point in time. So not encouraging you to be disrespectful. I'm just saying, you've got a business to run. All right, let's make some good decisions about that. Sometimes you have to satisfy management and other people. So, do that. Do what you need to do. Here's the deal, though. We need to become ruthless and demand that return on investment for our time. Does that make sense to everybody? Let's see here if we've got any more questions. Good questions, by the way. Awesome. Cool. Okay. Well, let's press on here to step 5. Step 5 is, okay, become very intentional. All right. The whole idea is we're a business owner. We're running a business. We want to become intentional about how we're running that business, and we want to focus in on how to do that. So, a couple of things. First thing is, how do you move customers from one level to the other? In our workshops, I'll divide the group into 4 groups, and I'll give one of the groups, one of the small groups, the task of saying, give me 5 ways to move somebody from level 1 where they don't know you to level 2 where they do know you. Give me 5 creative ways. And there's all kinds of cool stuff out there. If you've got a client you think could be a 4 or 5 somewhere down the road, and you can't get in to see that decision maker, well, there's all kinds of fun stuff to do. You can send them, just a simple FedEx deal. It costs you 10 or 12 bucks. They may not open your letter. They may not answer your call. They may not respond to your email. But you send them something that gets their attention in a FedEx deal, I guarantee you, they're going to open it and look at it every time. They always get through. That's one creative way to get through to somebody that doesn't know who you are and that you want them to know who you are. Okay, so you have to look at every level. How do we go from 1 to 2? How do you go from 2 to 3? How do you go from 3 to 4? And how do you go from 4 to 5? And again, we could spend an entire workshop doing that. So here's an important piece, though. When we become intentional about being a level 4 or 5 provider for a customer, we need to begin at level 1 to brand ourselves as a value-added trusted advisor. Our emails need to say that. Our signatures in our emails need to say that. Any written material that we send to them need to say that we bring value, we bring solutions. We're trusted advisors to these clients. In other words, if you're telling them, these are the people we do business with, these are my customers, say I'm a trusted advisor, I'm a valued asset to this customer list. So we want to begin to build the brand from the very beginning that's what we do. And when we talk to them the first time, I'm trying to figure out how I can bring you value. Or my goal is to become a trusted advisor to you, to help bring value to you and your company and or to your life or to your business. Whatever it is, we want to become a valued, added, trusted advisor, and we want to perpetuate that brand from the beginning, and we want to reinforce that brand at every touch point. So if I was to look at your database and we were to pick out a customer and use your CRM and look at all the contacts you've had with them the last year, does every contact that you've had with them say trusted advisor, value added, solution provider? Is that what we're communicating? If not, we need to do that. Okay, we need to become intentional about levels 4 and 5 from the very beginning and all the way through. And then at the end of the day, we want to wind up, instead of spending 80% of our times in levels 1, 2, and 3, and only 20% of our time in level 4 and 5, we want to flip the switch on that. We want to spend 80% of our time in levels 4 and 5, and 20% of our time cultivating potential in levels 1, 2, and 3. Okay? All right. Well, those are the 5 steps, guys, and bottom line, that's what we're going to need to do in order to become successful, to really improve our profitability. And if you read the email that I sent out, for those of you already very good at what you do, I doubt that I'm going to give you another 50% this year, but I may have given you another 10. I may have helped you get rid of some people that are wasting your time, that don't deserve your professionalism and your expertise. And bottom line, if you're fairly new at this, if you've not looked hard at how you're managing your business, I may very well have given you 50% or even more today. So it's our hope that we've helped grow each of your businesses and improved what you do out there. So any questions based upon what we talked about today? This is where you can fire anything you want at me. I will not shy away from any questions. We've got just a few more minutes here if you do. And certainly I would tell you, if somewhere down the road you've got a question about this, don't hesitate to shoot it at me. And for those of you who are listening to the audio, all right, after the fact, don't hesitate to shoot me any questions you might have via email. Larry says here, it must take a lot of courage to eliminate long-term clients. Larry, it does. And again, I'll go back to saying some of this requires a value judgment. If you've been doing business with Joe over there for the last 20 years and you know, he's a level 4 or 5, but doesn't really give you great return on investment for your time. You're spending more time than, and you like him, you know, I'm just saying think about it a little bit. I'm not saying get rid of them necessarily. That's where we've got to think, all right? But you might very well look at a customer and go, you know what? That guy's been jerking me around forever. He gives me some business, and then he'll turn around and take my numbers and give it to somebody else on that bigger order. You know what? I'm tired of that. I'm tired of doing business like that. I'm not doing that anymore. And you may have to square that with your manager down the road. But yeah, it does take courage. But I want to tell you what, once we do that, I tell you what, I cannot tell you, Larry, I'm glad I cannot tell you how many customers said, you know what, I'm not doing that anymore. And then the next thing they go is, well, wait a minute, Jim. All right, I can make sure you get some of that business. As soon as I stop devaluing my own service to them, all of a sudden they begin to value it more. They valued it all along, but I was devaluing it. So yeah, it takes courage, but I tell you what, you'll be surprised how many times a customer will go, oh, now wait a minute, okay. Let's see here. Any criteria for selling customer levels? Not sure I understand the question there. You might give me a little bit more. Let's see here. Very helpful info and focus. Cool. Inspire somebody to look at their business and find and retain clients. Awesome. Glad to hear that. That's what we're here for. Thanks, Darlene. All right, Jay, I'm not sure I understand that question. Don't hesitate to shoot me an email. We can talk about it offline or something like that, if you will. I want to make sure we wrap these things up in the time that we said. So, again, thanks for joining us today, guys. Our next webinar is going to be in 2 weeks. We're going to tackle this one, and somebody asked me to do it because it's, again, I'm kind of doing my favorite stuff up front. In 2 weeks, we're going to do a webinar on what do you say when the client says your price is too high. All right? That's going to be our webinar in 2 weeks. What do you do when the client says your price is too high? And we're going to talk about handling objections. We're going to talk about handling that specific one. But let me tease you a little bit by saying one of my favorite answers when the client says your price is too high, one of my favorite answers is, so. And I'll explain that to you in a couple of weeks. So best of luck to you guys out there. If I can help you in any way, don't hesitate. Shoot me an email. You know, send me a message on Twitter. Text me if you want to. I really appreciate you guys being here, joining us today. And again, our goal is always to bring you great value in what we do. So if you liked it, share it with somebody. If you didn't, I always tell people, just keep your mouth shut. All right, my grandmother said if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. God bless you guys. Hope you have a great day out there and great selling. Take care.